Good morning. We welcome this new day that we received with the song Mother Earth, Beloved Garden. And the words and music are by Amanda Udis Kessler. If you are experiencing this on Zoom, please make sure your microphone is muted and sing along enthusiastically from home.
Let's rise in body, spirit, and voice to celebrate this new day.
Sister water in a flowing ocean, river, pond, and rain. Drink me now and quench our thirsting cleanse us, we begin again. Mist and ice, a host of changes, all that current trickle round. With the cup, the only child's voice, we ask to begin now. Blow a spirit intuition in the center of our souls. In your love we find relation, all connected we are whole. Timeless history, quiet conscience, deep its values what's inside. With the drum and with the cauldron, this we ask you be our God.
Good morning. Program. My pronouns are he, him. Sherry is my worship assistant. And Brian Bishop is the pianist. Michael Parker is the choir director. It is my great pleasure to lead this worship service today. Reverend Deanne is on sabbatical, and she will report to the pulpit March the 13th. And if you have a chalice or a candle or something you want to light at home, you may want to grab it now. We'll get to it in just a few minutes. We arrive from many places and from many life experiences as we gather here to recall our true selves, to reflect on the meaning of our lives, and to explore questions of ultimacy together. We are people who are new to Unitarian Universalism and people who are lifelong Unitarian Universalists. We are people of many religious beliefs and spiritual practices. We affirm and promote the responsible search for truth and meaning. We are people of many genders, sexualities, ethnicities, origins, ages, shapes, sizes, and expressions of our true selves. We affirm and promote the inherent worth and dignity of all people and recognize our belonging to the interdependent web of all existence. We are people of all ages and family structures, and we each bring gifts, talents, and passions that serve to affirm and promote communities with peace, liberty, and justice for all. We are people of covenant who engage with one another in ways that promote and affirm justice, equity, and compassion in human relations. We are becoming a radically welcoming sanctuary in a green space. We are people who care deeply for our planet and understand we are inextricably and profoundly connected with the web of existence. Today, we will explore that link as the source of joy. We are people who welcome all who are seeking a community of faith that welcomes your whole self. All that you were, all that you are, and all that you yearn to be. And you are just where you should be, in a room full of compassionate, thoughtful, Unitarian Universalists, ready to meet you where you are. If you're a newcomer this morning, we welcome you and hope you will indeed find a spiritual home with us. If this is your first time here, I encourage you to join us several times to experience the full flavor of this congregation and this faith tradition, because not every person who does the service dresses like this. Some dress much more formally. Anyway, you're welcome. You are home. And now we'll hear from our present and president, Lorena Griffith.
Let me take this off just while I'm speaking. So it's the season for giving, right? When my kids were little, I tried to instill in them a habit of giving. I wanted them to see giving to others as simply something we do on this earth because we have enough to share. And so when we shop for their school supplies each year, we would fill a couple extra backpacks and donate those. And we always grabbed the angel off the Christmas tree and bought presents for the kids who didn't have that at home. But the best kind of giving and the best lesson for my children was the unplanned kind, when you just happened to be in the right place at the right time and there was a need and you had the means to meet that need. So one Christmas season, school was out for the holidays. The kids were home, but the administrators were still at the school. It was probably the 20th or something, and I'm guessing that I must have taken the week off from work because I was home and I was not stressed about time. So our phone number ends in 5105, and Cedar Hill Elementary ends in 5015. And so we often got missed calls for Cedar Hill Elementary. And so this morning I picked up the phone and there was this panicked voice on the other end. And she says, "I'm supposed to pick up my gifts and my turkey, but my car won't start and I can't get there. Will you still be there tomorrow?" And I'm like, still in my pajamas, what? And so I was puzzled, but then I realized it was a call for Cedar Hill. I said, "Are you trying to reach the elementary school?" And she said, "Yes." And I said, "Well, I'm sorry, you've gotten a wrong number." And so we hung up. But I couldn't let it go. It was like somebody wasn't going to get their Christmas because they didn't have a ride. I had a car. I had the means to fill her need. So this was back before there was caller ID and all that, and you could dial *69. I don't know if anybody remembers that, but that would call back the person who had just called you. So I dialed it, and she answered, and I said, "This is the stranger you just talked to on the phone, and I'll pick your stuff up for you." "Oh my gosh, thank you so much." And so we called the school and let them know what was going on, and she told me where she lived, and I decided it was going to be a teaching moment for my family. And we all piled into the car, including my husband, and we went out to lunch afterward. But we went to Cedar Hill and we got all their stuff, and then we, delivered it to the duplex where they lived. She had 3 children, a few gifts for each one. There was a big turkey and then a bag of groceries for additional fixings for Christmas dinner. So we got there, and the kids dove at the presents. They tore into them. They weren't waiting for Christmas. And my husband brought the turkey into the woman's kitchen, and I gave her the rest of the groceries. And I had hoped to interact with the family a little bit. I was like, "Oh, what'd you get?" to the kids and everything. But it was really clear that she was uncomfortable having us there. She said thank you, but she wanted us to leave. So we did. And I have to confess, I had a moment of deflation because I had envisioned us all sitting around and having hot chocolate and it all being huggy and, and me getting all the thanks I was due. I didn't get that. But I got over that feeling pretty quickly because that wasn't the reason I had done it. You know, we had delivered this family's Christmas, and it really enriched our own, and it also enriched that of my kids. So I've been a member here at UUCG for about 10 years. And the importance of this place in my life has changed over those years. You know, when I first started coming, I appreciated the congregation. I was glad I was here. But it wasn't central. And through time, it has become central to my life. It enriches my life very much, and I feel deeply a love for this community. When that happened, I can't say. It was a gradual shift probably, and there may be some of you out here who feel like an outsider looking in, you know, it's just like, stick around, it'll change. But I do know the more I gave, the more I received. And that continues to be the truth. It doesn't matter if it's my time that I'm giving or my money that I'm giving or my talents. There's nothing better than when you have a skill that's needed and you can just step in. I look at our tech team back there. We could not have this service on Zoom. I mean, we've got lots more people attending than you see around you in person. And that's because these people have a talent that's needed and they stepped in to fill the need. So that's great. Thank you. So it's time to pledge, and our budget needs your money. This has been a hard time for everybody. I know some people through COVID have suffered financially, and we've all suffered emotionally. And I know when you don't get sleep and you feel kind of not at your best, you feel a little grumpy and you don't really feel like doing nice things for other people. I feel that way. So I kind of look at this because I am kind of groggy. I've been kind of groggy for a year and a half now. It's sort of like I didn't get all my sleep, you know? And so this year, the budget at UCG is really needing your help. And I'm not going to talk about that today too much because we're going to talk about it next week at the congregational meeting. But the board met this week and we really slashed that budget. And there's going to be some things that people miss. So what I'm asking you to do right now is just to examine your heart. And some people, if I talk about money, it makes them squirm, because they know that they're receiving a lot more than they're contributing. And that's not a good way to feel. And then there's other people who, when I talk about money, they're like, I've always given more than my share. I'm carrying everybody else's dead weight and I'm sick of it. That's not a really good way to feel either. I want you to feel good. You've heard give till it hurts. I don't want you to hurt. I want you to feel joy in giving to this remarkable community. And we come from a wide variety of places in here. There are people who could give thousands of dollars and truthfully not miss it. And then there are people for whom $20 is a real gift. That's not what this is about. I'm not asking you to give a certain amount of money. I'm not asking you to give a percentage of your income. I'm asking you to give until it feels good in your heart. I want you to experience the joy of giving to this remarkable community because it's worthy of your support. It's not about what anybody else is doing. It's about giving out a habit, because everyone here, whether you feel it or not, has been gifted with an abundance, and we all have room to share. Thanks.
So let's take a deep breath. Let's become more fully present to this time that we have, that we've set aside to be together. Let's become aware of our bodies feeling the embrace of gravity, sinking down, and the awareness of our inhaling and exhaling, just in and out. The rhythm of our heartbeat or pulse. Maybe you can feel your heartbeat. Maybe you have to touch your wrist or some other place to feel the pulse. That's okay. And as I ring the bowl, let's feel the sound vibrating through us and around us, so we may be reminded how deeply and profoundly interconnected we are with one another, with all of humanity, with all beings, all living things, and even with the stars in the cosmos. These are our opening words. They're by D.H. Lawrence. It's from I don't know if it's a compilation or a entire book of his poetry, from a book called The Plumed Serpent. The sun has climbed the hill. The day is on its downward slope. Between the morning and the afternoon, stand I here with my soul, and I lift it up. My soul is heavy with sunshine and steeped with strength. The sunbeams have filled me like a honeycomb. It is the moment of fullness and the top of the morning. And our opening words are a poem, or at least a stanza of a poem by E.E. Cummings that Reverend Jan turned into a body prayer. So some of you have experienced this before, and some not. So I'm going to ask anybody who's willing to participate, and I'm going to go through the movements. But when we do it, first of all, we're practicing, right? And then we'll do it as a actual prayer. And don't worry about getting the movements right, you know. So just, you're kind of getting a suggestion, and then, you know, there are no mistakes. So, and the poem goes like this. I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, and for the leafy, greenly spirits of trees, and a blue, true dream of sky, and for everything which is natural, which is infinite, which is yes. That's the most important part. So now we've been through it. So, you know, maybe you got the movements perfect, maybe you don't, and it doesn't matter. So just think of it, though, as a real prayer with our bodies and connecting to everything that's around us. I thank you, God, for most this amazing day, for the leaping greenly spirits of trees, and for the true blue dream of sky, and for everything that is natural, that is infinite, which is yes. And now, yes. Now we have the Feast of Lights.
Hanukkah, Hanukkah, joyous feast of lights. Hanukkah, Hanukkah, festive happy night. Hanukkah, Hanukkah, celebrate with us the victories of the Maccabees against the Caiaphas. Hanukkah, Hanukkah, tyrants were defied. Hanukkah, Hanukkah, temple purified. Hanukkah, Hanukkah, the flame of liberty. Burning days and its rays blaze for all to see. Hanukkah, Hanukkah, happy time of year. Hanukkah, Hanukkah, presents and good cheer. Hanukkah, Hanukkah, come join in the fun. Candles burn, cradles turn, freedom has been won. Hanukkah, oh Hanukkah, come light the menorah. Let's have a party, we'll all dance the hora. Gather round the table, we'll give you a treat. Everyone to play with, everyone to eat. And while we are playing, the candles are burning low. One for each night they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. One for each night they shed a sweet light to remind us of days long ago. Rock of ages, let us all praise your saving power. You amidst the raging foes were our sheltering tower. Glorious they assailed us, but your arm availed us. And your word, restored when our end strength failed us. And your word, restored when our strength failed us.
Good morning. Let's see if I can get this out of here. Need a little air if I'm going to talk to y'all. Good morning. I'm Sherry Bailey. My pronouns are she and her. And we're going to have the Wonder Box. And I probably need about 4 people who want to come up here and take some of the stuff out. Are we going to have the little thing? Ready? And so let's come and get everything out of the box. I'll take this one out. It is a Christmas sweater, a funny Christmas sweater, which I think is really beautiful. And come and get a box. Need one more person to get a box. You can take 2. They're small. The other things I have in here, I have Christmas cards, one of which we got from Jan, I guess like last year. I don't know if it was last year's or the years before. And this is one of my favorites that Rowan, Lorena's granddaughter, made for me several years ago. And I always save my Christmas cards. and I put them up all around the house to decorate. So I have a lot of Christmas cards, and then I have ornaments, of which this one is the Tree of Life, and it says, family is rooted in love. And then a little train. And the reason I have all of these things in this box is I am making a shameless appeal for connection with all of you. Next Saturday night, Cups will be hosting a Yule party, and you'll be glad that you came. And we're going to do a bunch of different things. For one, it's the time to wear your ugly Christmas sweater. And the person who has the ugliest Christmas sweater will get a prize. Also, we're having a white elephant gift exchange. And because we're UUs, I personally believe that they should be regifting all the things in your house, because you have too much stuff in your house, right? Don't you have too much stuff in your house? Okay, so bring something that needs to belong to someone else. And the fun thing about a white elephant gift exchange is, I don't know, I think sometimes the gifts should be strange. And maybe not as strange as the one that Daniel took one time. He went to a party full of strangers and took a pickled octopus. And people were appalled. And I thought, I would have been thrilled to have a pickled octopus. It would have lived on my desk forever. But they were appalled, and he could never even say, I'm the one who brought the pickled octopus. And then I went to a Christmas party with some friends, and I said, re-gifting, that's the deal. It's white elephant. And he was like, oh, I cannot give a gift that's already been given. So he had to go out and buy new stuff. So, if that's your deal, fine. But this is how you play. We all have gifts. Did you open your gift? You're not open your gift yet. But once you open your gift, do you like that gift? I love this gift. So you want to keep it? All right. Anybody else who has a gift who hasn't opened it, would you like to have her gift? No. Her gift. You can trade with her.
I don't know, maybe. Yeah.
So you come and you shake packages and you decide, and you get to have numbers, and there will be some stealing of gifts and there will be some exchanging of gifts. And I always have, it's a really fun event. The other things we're going to do is, I've missed you, and I know that you've missed other people. And I think we should send cards. All my life, I never sent Christmas. Well, I didn't keep Christmas for 25 years, so. But I was terrible at mailing cards. And after I joined this congregation, all of a sudden, I had people I wanted to send cards to. And last year I was sick, so Daniel had to send cards. But for the last 3 or 4 years, I've been sending cards, and so much joy out of giving them and receiving them. Over there on that table is a bunch of cards. And I would love it if everybody would take a card and mail it to somebody that you've missed. It can be your relatives, it can be your kids. And there's a directory of the church. If you think, I'm this person, I've not seen them in a year and a half, I have no idea where they live. We have their address right there. And you can address a card, and I'll mail them for you. And there are stamps there. And that will be out all month. And I hope every time you come, you'll mail a card to somebody. Let's do it. You will mail the cards. The other thing is, next week we will have our Christmas tree up. And I would like us all to participate in the decoration of it. I have the service next week. So you can bring an ornament to put on the tree if you'd like, or have a bunch of ornaments over there that you can decorate. And we'll put your decorated ornaments. And the ornaments will be there for the Yule party and for services. And we're the kind of church where we know it's hard to sit still forever, for some of us anyway. So you're always welcome to get up and go over there, do something, and then get up and come back to your seat. It's perfectly fine. So, who doesn't want to come to my party? Ha 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 ha. Anyway, presents, ugly sweaters, cards, and ornaments. I hope I see you next week.
And by the way, if you don't do Christmas trees, you can think of it as an upright pagan world tree or a Hanukkah bush. So, and I'm sure other holidays that people have, you can, it's a tree with lights and stuff on it.
And oh, thank you. Lost my mask.
Okay. And now we're going to sing Stand Up in Spirit, number 175, that we celebrate the web of life. The words are by Alicia S. Carpenter, and the music is by Melchior Vulpius.
Celebrate the web of life, its magnitude we sing. For we can see divinity in every living thing. A fragment of the perfect whole is cactus and its well. As much a tiny particle as in the great will. Of ancient dreams we are the sum, our motives come to star. And what our future worlds to know, with worlds that were and are. Respect the water, land, and air, which gave all creatures birth. Protect the lives of all that share the glory of the earth.
The title of this service and my homily is called An Earth Full of Joy, the pleasures of giving attention to our body, the earth. With a theme like joy, some of us are looking forward to Christmas or New Year's or being with friends and family or going to parties, while others of us may feel mostly alone, sad, stressed, or just disappointed. Whatever the commercial, corporate, and fundamentalist machinations that have been made about this time of year, it is a time when darkness and melancholy increase until they don't. And then the light begins its ascendancy. Today we call that solstice or Yule. For me, as an animist pagan who feels the divine in everything and that the divine is everything, I do have empathy for the Christian belief in the incarnation, in which a transcendent God becomes a flesh and blood creature. In other religious and spiritual paths, particularly indigenous traditions, the ultimate is also recognized as within the natural world, especially as the earth and the sky. In fact, it is recognized that the earth and sky are contiguous with our bodies and our inner experience. We are related to other animals, plants, and the stars. And our bodies are literally made up of all the elements that the stars created. Now, this also includes our pre-verbal sensations. And those are emotions and thoughts that we attempt to describe through language, but it is prior to language. It is more fundamental and basic. This primal awareness is in our blood, our heartbeat, our breath, and in our neurons and neurotransmitters, which are not just, by the way, in our what we think of as our brain. Actually, the brain extends throughout our entire body. In particular, there are nexuses, a whole lot of nexuses of nerves in our bellies and around our heart that also give us intelligence and inform us. There is an evidence, oh, and I skipped ahead. When we're in the womb, our elemental processes that form our heart and nervous system, and by the way, the heart is the first formed before the brain or anything else. When we are born, we have a set point for happiness, contentment, and a sense of well-being that accounts for about 50% of our mood, while our circumstances account for only about 10% of our mood profile. And this is according to a Scientific American article, and I forgot to note the date. However, this is something, I worked in the addiction field, and this is something we were talking about 30 years ago. And it's just now getting more, widely known. So that leaves about 40%. You got 50 and 10, that's 60. It leaves about 40% for what? Well, only in the last few decades has there been any scientific focus on mood, joy, or happiness and pleasure. One of the primary recognitions has been that regardless of experiences or pleasurable pursuits, we tend to have our feeling states return to our set point. So it can be high, set point can be high, like those of us who are kind of feel joyous and optimistic most of the time, hate you, or they can be low, like those of us who are anxious, depressed, obsessive, and compulsive. I'm not naming anybody. And if our particular set point is low, it's not our fault, and is definitely not the result of a curse or original sin. There is an evidence that set points can be changed as a result of having consistent habits of heart and mind, and by tuning to natural processes, rhythms, and cycles. It includes things like being in green spaces. And if you're not used to this place, when you go outside, look around, and we're in a green space. It also includes things like being aware of the sensations and feelings that are underneath our thoughts and emotions. It also means experiencing supportive relationships, having fun, pleasurable and uplifting amusements. And then if you're religious and you're not having fun, you're doing it wrong. And I did it wrong for a good deal of my life. Now, and also, not to mention healthy exercise, diet, and attending to our health care. This seems probably improbable that we can ever achieve all these things. But it's not about ignoring sadness or grief or any other so-called negative emotions, which have a survival function. It is more about a shift in habitual focus, a gentle interspersing of practices with the everyday and necessary, and becoming open to the savoring and surprise available in some moments. Now think of the body prayer, or a great walk, or dancing, or breathing fresh air, touching, comforting each other, awe, wonderment, feeling loved by others, and developing self-love. And many homilies in this building have emphasized that we need to love ourselves before we can really love others. Because if we don't like or hate ourselves, it is awfully hard to do that, to really reach out to other people and not just be going through the motions. And in addition, being consistent and having variety in different things that we do. So it's not just about, oh, well, I'll meditate, or, oh, I'll go to the gym, or, oh, I'll work on my toxic thoughts. It is about being consistent, finding things that work for you, experimenting, finding the ones that seem to work for you, and consistently doing at least several of these. And consistent means, I'm sorry, folks, the rest of our lives. So, I encourage all of us now just to kind of sink into our bodies. I like when we did the Tibetan bowl. Allowing whatever we're feeling just to be. And close your eyes if you will, but you don't have to. You might, again, become aware of breath entering and leaving your body, of pulse or heartbeat, or other sensations like warmth or coolness, tightness or looseness, tingling, or maybe there's some feelings that don't really have a name, but you feel them. You can't really put a label on it. But whatever we feel is right for each one of us in this moment. And any judgments we have of our experience, we can just acknowledge and refocus on these sensations in our body. So, again, feeling gravity's pull towards the earth, to the planet beneath us. And now you can open your eyes as I close and kind of look around out the windows at the plants, which you probably see, and maybe you might see an animal too, outside windows or doors. And then close your eyes again, if you will, and again notice feelings like the breath, the heartbeat, and any other sensations. And as we're doing this, let's acknowledge that our connections with this web of existence that includes what we are literally made of and what physically sustains us. And then let us consider our bodily joys, touch, movement, taste, smell, and sound. And let's feel what it literally feels like to embrace ourselves with compassion for our joys and sorrows, our celebrations and failures, our loves and losses, our hopes and fears. And then return again to focusing on our bodies from the inside out, pulsing, flowing, sensing. We are part of everything, and everything is part of us. We are the interconnected web of existence. We are each other and every being. Let us now consider how we are able to sustain the earth, our body. thank everybody who shared. Let's pray. Spirit of life, we are grateful for all the sources of joy in our body, the earth. We want to reciprocate by caring for this body with curiosity, courage, and compassion, and with every action we are capable of, including the savoring of our own existence, and in actions small or great, to honor the inherent value of all beings. We so honor the 4 high school students who were killed in Oxford, Michigan, and all the many more lost in many more schools and on the streets and in wars of greed and oppression. We honor each other in this congregation by treating one another with compassion and in accord with our principles. Help all of us who have pain, sorrow, and grief. May we all continue to discover the joy in our lives. Amen. So be it, and blessed be. And now, stand again in spirit, and let's sing hymn number 298, Wake Now My Senses, words by Thomas J.S. Mickelson. It's a traditional Irish melody, and there's a harmony by Carlton R. Young. As we deepen our feelings and connections to our bodies and the land and sky, we can create more friendly green spaces in our homes and in this UUCG sanctuary. The Green Space Team is a small group that works to share experiences and projects with all of us here at UUCG, but that then need additional people to create the actual experiences and carry out these projects. Currently, the Unitarian Universalist Ministry for the Earth is offering a 5-part series on our place in the web of life, which will go deeply into understanding the interconnections of our presence and actions in our community with food, air, and water quality concerns, and the other ways we impact our environment and how it affects us. We need 3 or 4 facilitators, yes you, to work with small groups. We would like this to do this in the relatively near future, but we can't move ahead until we have facilitators. This, by the way, will be open to not just our congregation, but to anyone. We're also in the process of creating a green kitchen or a greener kitchen with a faster and more efficient dishwasher and a reconfiguration of some of the space to facilitate more flow and energy saving. Volunteers who are somewhat handy, and that will not be me, are needed particularly now that we are opening back up because we can't use it until that's all done. We need organizers to create yard and grounds work days, and of course, people to do the work. And we really need organizers to create educational events that teach how we can be kinder to our environments for the sake of our own health and that of the land itself, perhaps as an ongoing version of our place in the web of life previously mentioned. And if anyone has suggestions for ideas for this, please share them with Terry Welcher, Barry Heath, who's our Zoom manager. You can't see him, but he's there. Bill Kennedy, Don Graff, or me, and I'm apparently only visible one here. None of this requires becoming a member of the Green Team, but we definitely can use more members to spread the joy of caring for the earth, our body. There will be a Green Team meeting on Zoom at 1 p.m. today, if anyone would like to attend and ask questions or share an idea.
So Daniel's the only one that's visible on the green team, but I think he makes up for the rest of the team this morning. Next slide. Our congregation is committed to creating a more compassionate world. And to this end, each quarter we split our plate collection with an organization nominated by the people in the congregation and selected by our Giveaway the Plate committee. Our fourth quarter plate recipient is Lost and Found Youth, a remarkable nonprofit organization that seeks to alleviate homelessness for LGBTQ young adults ages 18 to 25. They provide temporary housing, food, clothing, case management counseling, life skills training, job readiness training, linkages to physical and mental health care, and recreational opportunities. Our plate contributions also support the shared ministry of this congregation. So I ask that you please give generously to support the work of this important ministry in our wider community, as well as the vision and mission of our congregation. May the generous gifts received this week move us toward realizing our vision of a more connected and compassionate world.
I'd like to express my gratitude for all those that participated in the service, including Sherry, who only learned at 6 this morning that she was going to be my associate. And I'm grateful for the tech team who makes all this possible. Dan Kelly, Justin Miller, and Alex Hepta. And the Zoom manager was Barry Heath. Yeah. And I'd like to thank Lorena for her participation in helping us out. I'd like to thank Michael and the choir. And is there anybody else? Oh, yes, there is. I'm giving a shout out to Ed Miller for making and installing the privacy panels in our restrooms so they can be all gender restrooms.
Now's the time for the call to connection within our congregation and beyond our walls. If you're new to the community, you can sign up for our weekly e-news or newsletter by emailing info@uucg.org. We post our services on YouTube, and if you'd like to review today's, I don't know if today's will be up soon, but we're getting close to being caught up, so you can review past services and share with your friends too. The 2022 pledge drive is underway through the end of the year. Our theme is inside, outside, and upside down. We're collecting gift cards for Corley Elementary School families. Corley Elementary is right down the school. They do not have a PTA, and so we help with that in many ways throughout the year. Peggy's holding up a basket in the back. If you brought gift cards today, you can put them in that basket. She can also accept cash or checks. Or if you want to give online, you can do that as well. Just be sure you mark it Corley Gifts. On the first Sunday of every month, we have a food collection. The food drive gifts go to the Lawrenceville Cooperative Ministry Food Bank. Today is the first Sunday of the month, and so there will be a food drive from 2 to 4, but if you brought it with you, there will be people here from now till 4, so you can drop it off anytime this afternoon. There's faith development resources for all ages. These are on our website at the address listed on the screen. Christiana puts these together around the themes of our month. This month's theme is joy, and you'll find a lot of things to elaborate and to enrich your experience here this morning. So check your e-news and the newsletter.
And once again, let's rise in spirit, or body of fable, as we say together the words that we say to extinguish our chalice, followed by those at home and the choir singing the UU version of the carol, Joy to the World. And there are noted word differences than what you usually hear in that song. We extinguish this flame, but not the light of truth, the warmth of community, or the fire of commitment. These we carry in our hearts until we are together again. The closing words are an Hasidic saying, "When you walk across the fields with your mind pure and holy, then from all the stones and all growing things and all animals, the sparks of their soul come out and cling to you. And then they are purified and become a holy fire in you." And now, hymn number 245, Joy to the World. Words are by Isaac Watts, and some of them were changed by somebody that didn't mention who they were. Music attributed to George Friedrich Handel, and it was arranged by Lowell Mason, and is performed by, I didn't write it down, I'm sorry, but maybe it'll be up there.
The choir at the UU Church of Elgin, Illinois.
Joy to the world, the word is come. Let earth with praises ring. Let every heart prepare a room. And heaven and nature sing, nature sing, nature sing, nature sing. And heaven and nature sing. Joy to the earth, now gladness reigns. Let hearts their songs employ, while fields and floods, rocks, hills and plains repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy, repeat the sounding joy. No more let sins and sorrows grow, nor thorns infest the ground. Let righteousness its glory show, as far as love is found, as far as love is found, as far as
That's it.